I was joined this time by Sara Sabry, the first Arab, Egyptian, and African woman to ever go up in space. I just can't believe it. She made history on August 4th when she took a flight by Blue Origin. From this day forward, we all stand on her shoulders. All little girls in the Arab world and region can say, listen, I feel representative because I've seen what she's been able to achieve. She's a scientist, she's an astronaut, she's investing in empowering people through science and space, and I'm just fascinated by her, and hopefully you guys can learn something from this conversation. Really a pleasure and honor for me to get a chance to talk to her before she went up and after she went up. Can't wait for you guys to tell me what you think.
Sara, it's so nice to meet you. I've never spoken to an astronaut before.
It's so nice to meet you too. I can't believe that I'm going to be an astronaut. It's pretty crazy. It's wild.
I am so proud of you. I think all Egyptians are proud of you as well. But let's start from the beginning because it's our first time meeting. We've been chatting for a while. I heard about your story from Karim Gamroor, and I'm just like in awe and inspired by your journey. But now that I have you with us and all my listeners, I want everyone to hear. So what's your story? Where did you start? And how did you become interested in space? How did you get to this point today?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And it's so nice to speak to you finally face to face. Well, I mean, over the phone, but yeah, like hopefully one day face to face in real life.
Inshallah, very soon.
Yeah. So I'm an engineer by training. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, a master's in biomedical. I grew up in Cairo, Egypt. Last year I became Egypt's first female analog astronaut, and I'll explain a little bit about what that is. And then now I'm about to become the first Egyptian to go to space.
That's incredible. Were you always fascinated by space? Like what caused you to want to be an engineer, and then what got you into the bug of space?
So I was always really interested in physics and trying to understand things that seem complicated. So I was always wondering like how things worked, and that's how I became an engineer, because I just wanted to understand things or try to solve problems that we had. And I always thought of myself wanting to be, when you're a kid, you want to be like an inventor. You want to invent like a toy or, something like this. And it's just like, I think it just started from my curiosity just as a person, and me like learning a little bit more about astrophysics, about black holes, about all these things. And the more I learned about them, the more questions I had, and the more I realized we're so far still from understanding, where we're coming from. And there's so many questions yet to be, answered. And that's the moment when I decided, okay, so I have this training, I have these skills that, from education, from, what makes me, just my curiosity. So why not try to use that and help out in space exploration and understanding where we come from, or in pushing humanity forward? Because I think personally, space, I'm very biased, but I think the space field has the most impact on us as humanity as a whole, more than any other field, because that's the one, that's where we're coming from, and that's where we want to, like, this is where it touches everyone's life, basically every single person's life in the world, 100%. So
what about your upbringing with your parents, like got you into this curiosity space, like curiosity as like, was it the culture at home where you guys were like, they instilled that in you, or was it school? Was it a person? Was it someone that you were inspired by that made you curious about space and the planets and where we come from and all that stuff?
I think it's a mix of everything, because I think every single one of us, has like went through has their own journeys, from the people they've met, from their cultures, from where they grew up, from, their environment, their surroundings, their travels. So it's, I think, a combination of everything. And my parents were very supportive. And I think my dad also, because he was never differentiating between a man and a woman. So he never said, okay, because you're a girl, you're not going to be capable of doing this. And if you're a boy, So I think that helped a lot, because he made me believe that no matter what I do, I think I can do it. So I'm not less capable just because I'm a girl, but it was quite the opposite. He was pushing me more. And my mom also, she graduated from Lebanon, so she's Lebanese, and she was one of 3 women in her electrical engineering in
Oh, wow.
in her university. And that was, I had these to look up to. I had my dad who believed that like girls are no less than men, and then I had my mom who also was breaking barriers as when she was growing up. So I think having them to look up to helped me a lot, and me believing in myself and me being, pushing and not really being afraid of taking risks, I think.
So you have a company, you're the CEO of a company. Tell me what your company does and how did you even get into that? Like, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be in this industry, I'm going to start a whole company focused on exploration.
Yes. So I have a company. It's called the Space Initiative. We're a nonprofit company. And what we're trying to do is make space research and space education more accessible and to provide more opportunity in the field. Because when I started getting into the field, it was very difficult because, in our side of the world, so in Europe and in Egypt, if you don't have, a European passport or a US passport, the opportunities are very limited, and accessibility is also a big issue because of the laws that exist. So, and it just for me, it seemed like something that's okay. So it was really difficult for me to actually get into it, to learn about it, and there weren't many opportunities to work in the specific research. And because I'm a researcher and an engineer, I wanted to work in this, but it wasn't just available for me. So I decided. So I decided that, okay, why not do something about it? And why not make it easier for others? Because space is so important, and the whole field has so much, that we need to work on. And we need to involve others from different parts of the world, because with their different, backgrounds, with their different skill sets, they bring a different perspective. And I think we need to have this different perspective and also add it onto all sides of the world. So not to have only one side of the world working on this, but also have a different perspective to work on these problems.
I love it when you said that if we explore things in space, we'll learn a lot about humanity and each other. And I just remembered a couple of weeks ago, it was that they released the picture of the Hubble Space Station, released the picture of the universe. And I saw everybody posting it on social media, and everyone's like, wow, this gives you a lot of perspective of how small we are and how we don't know what's out there and how we are so involved in our world, but really we're a part of this huge humanity. And I want to hear, what was your reaction when you saw those photos?
Honestly, I was in awe for a few days afterwards, because it really does put things into perspective. Because it's hard for our brains to grasp the scale of the universe. But when you see an image and when you realize, because of, we are so insignificant. But then when you sit down and you think about that, we need to talk about it more. We need to have it part of the conversation for us to all be aware of that, because it's us. This is humanity. We, in the timeline of the universe, we are very, very tiny, and I think we don't realize that. And I think having this perspective really helps you in your personal life, because whenever you have, instead of focusing on maybe materialistic things or on, small things that you can try to work through, I think having this perspective helps you process these things as well, and helps you realize that we're all in this together, we're all humans, and I think having this realization also unifies us as humanity, and maybe hopefully one day shift the perspective of having these divisions between countries, because that to me doesn't make sense, to be honest. Having those lines on the borders, this is something that is, so maybe one day, if we think about this enough, if we really process the idea that we're all on this planet together and there should be no differences, maybe one day this is actually going to bring so much good. It's going to push humanity forward. Just this change in perspective, just realizing how small we are in the scale of the whole universe. So that's how I think.
You're having a big role in that. So tell me, how did you get selected by Blue Origin? And tell me about Space for Humanity and what work you do with them. And tell me the whole process. Like, how did so Blue Origin, for those of you listening, is Jeff Bezos's company, which he's basically investing a lot of time and money in sending humans into space. Tell us a little bit about Blue Origin, how you got selected, and about Space for Humanity.
Yeah, of course. So I applied to Space for Humanity. So it's the Citizen Astronaut Program with Space for Humanity, like a while back. And so Space for Humanity is a nonprofit company, and they're trying to democratize space for everyone. And so what they do is they send people to space, and they choose them, based on several criteria. So they choose them based on leadership capabilities, on global impact potential, on the work that they're currently doing. So with Deep Space Initiative, because I've been working on trying to make space more accessible. So my mission with Deep Space Initiative, corresponded with their mission of making it accessible. So I think that probably played a role in why they chose me. And so I applied to this program, and when you apply to things, you don't really think, because so many people are probably going to apply, and it's just like the thing that you just apply to, and you don't really think much of it. But then when I got the call, it was just a complete surprise, and I still to this day can't even believe that they chose me, and they chose me out of 3,000 applicants.
Wow.
So it's just insane, and I still can't believe that, but I'm just so honored and so grateful and just so excited to do my best to use this experience for humankind, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to train you before you go on this mission and to experience the overview effect, and then they train you afterwards. So there's this prep, and then you have this experience, and then you have an integration period. And what they do is that they want to, at the beginning, prepare you to be able to really absorb those few minutes that you have looking down at Earth and really looking at our Earth from space. And then this is called the overview effect, which I'll talk about a little bit. And then afterwards, I continue training with them and they give me tools to be able to integrate that. And I sign a life and leadership agreement with them, and to commit to using this experience for Earth. So their slogan is "To Space for Earth." So they are sending people to space for the benefit of planet Earth.
That's so beautiful. I'm so impressed. And so wow, one, the experience you're going to have, but two, the leadership that you're going to, we're having a conversation about space. I've never had conversations with anybody about this, but now I'm curious to know, how is this going to help humanity? What kind of research education's out there? What are some challenges that you're having in the industry? How are you building your company? How are you scaling your ideas? What are some of the challenges? I have a million questions. So let's start first with, what are you doing now to prepare for your mission?
Yeah. So Space for Humanity works with Paragon. It's a company that helps with preparing yourself mentally for this, because this is going to be a very big moment. And also it's a big responsibility, because I am going to be the first Egyptian to ever do this. So this has a very big influence on, hopefully younger people in Egypt and Africa, because now they can finally see themselves represented in space, or at least starting to see that. So this is something I never had. And to me, this is really, really important, because you hear those stories of, people choosing their careers just because they saw this one article of this one person that grew up they grew up where they grew up, and they're just they're set and they're committed and they're driven for the rest of their lives. So I can't even imagine the impact that this would have. And it's a lot, and it's really important. And it really touches, it touches my heart, because I understand how important this is. So this is very, very, this is something that I think is one of the most important things that is, this is going to happen in the integration part. And then to prepare right now, what I'm doing, so I'm going to the astronaut village tomorrow. So they're going to prepare me physically for the flight, to sit on the rocket and send me to space. But right now with Paragon, I've been working with them for a couple of weeks now, and they're trying to prepare me mentally. So I do a lot of breathing exercises. on trying to control my emotions, trying to, calm myself down, because of course, having this responsibility comes with a lot of, of course, it could add a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of stress.
Sure.
So we need to be able to deal with that. So and honestly, this training has been transformational for me because, of course, with the media attention, and of course, it's never going to be all positive because this is just how the world works. But you need to not look at that and only focus on the positive aspect of it all and the potential impact this could have. So Paragon helps you with that. They really help you to deal with all of this and to really prepare yourself that when the moment comes, when I'm sitting in this capsule on the chair, when I know that this, controlled explosion is about to happen and I'm just sitting there, I need to practice the feelings that I would feel now and try to, as much as possible, control them and replace them with emotions that calm me down. So that when I'm in space, when I'm looking at Earth, I can really use it and I can really absorb the experience and not just, look at it or, and not really take it in as much as I can.
That's fascinating because you're going to feel emotion. Like you're probably going to be overwhelmed that you've been working your whole, life for this dream, for this moment, but it's also the pressure, like, how does it feel? So that's really interesting that they start with the mental kind of preparation first. One of the things that a lot of people practice is breath work, and it's different than meditation because it helps you calm yourself. And it's one of the techniques that you've been using for your mission. Do you think it's something you'll continue to do afterwards?
Definitely. It really does help, because you're really trying to control your breath and really use that to control your thoughts. And what we do is try to, do one type of breath and you do it for some time. And then you try to put yourself, you try to visualize yourself doing something that might be stressful because you want to practice that feeling. And then you try to replace whatever emotion that comes from this this visualization, you try to replace it with an emotion that comes from a peaceful place that you have. Like for me, for example, I'm very much at peace in the water. So I always try to put myself in the water, looking at the deep blue, and just that calms me down. So if I'm ever, stressed, or if I ever feel like my heart rate is racing, I just stop and I just breathe and then, try to calm myself down by visualizing that, because that really, really does change your emotions at the time. Even if this time, you're anxious, your heart is going up, you're feeling it in your body, but you need to change the image that you're having in your brain to another thing that influences your emotions. So it's a few pieces that you put together, and we train, we practice how to do that, and it becomes easier and easier. The more I've been doing it, the more it's become faster to be able to replace it. So it's I've been even, trying it out, if, something really stressed me out and I just okay, I need to do it. And it's becoming a little bit faster each time, being able to calm myself down. So of course, I think 100% I'm going to continue.
So you're practicing, you're putting in the reps. I find them almost parallel. I haven't been in this experience, but an Olympic athlete, they're just training you to the endurance of testing your body to be in different situations. How do you deal with the pressure from the fans or from the crowd or from yourself? What about the physical? Have you been doing training the last couple of months? Or have you been, I don't know when you found out, but have you have to do a certain regimen of what you're supposed to eat or not eat? How detailed do they get?
So because this is a suborbital flight, so it's not, I think we're training for the launch more than anything. So the high G that we're going to experience, so we're going to be training that. So we have 2 days of training at the astronaut village. And for me personally, I have been training for, even though I know Egypt doesn't have a human spaceflight program, but I think I was preparing myself anyway, just in case the day comes, and I'm helping the Egypt, trying to make that happen. So I kind of I'm doing my best, because I always think that even if the opportunity doesn't exist, like try to create it. So I've always been, have had this mentality. So I have for the past few years been trying to train myself physically and mentally. So I did this analog mission, which is basically a simulation on Earth, where you pretend you're on the moon for a couple of weeks and you do all the activities that an astronaut would on the moon. So you wear your spacesuit, you collect samples, you test out emergency scenarios, you only eat freeze-dried food, you have no access to daylight, you train every day, so we have physical exercise every day. And so we prepare ourselves that way. And also, like, to continue my training, I've recently been selected to participate in the Possum Scientist Astronaut Program. And this is going to happen in Florida Tech. So I'll be starting this in September. And this was before I knew. Yeah. And this was before I knew I was going to space. So I had to message them and be like, oh, so I can't really attend the webinars because something
I'm going up on the Blue Origin.
Yeah.
What do you think the overview effect is going to be like, or how you're going to feel after?
I can't wait to really experience it, but I think, I think I'll have to wait and see. But to me, how I think it's going to be is I think it's going to be more of a psychedelic experience, because as humans, we haven't biologically evolved to experience this. So I think it's going to open my perception of the world and really change me at my core, because as humans, we haven't evolved for this. We haven't adapted for this. So, and when you look at Earth from space, you just see this fragile rock in the middle of outer space, and it's all black, and you just see this one blue rock, and where everyone is, and everything you've ever experienced is rooted in. So I think it would be really difficult for it not to change your perception, because even thinking about it, even when you're here on Earth and you try to visualize these things, it does a little bit help with, changing your perception of things. But if you're there and if you really see it, and if you look at Earth and you don't see those lines of divisions on the map, you don't see, countries, you just see everything as one. So it's really hard for me to think that it won't change, the person seeing this. So I think it's really going to change me at my core.
How many people are going up on the mission with you?
6 in total. We're going to be 6.
And who are they? Did you meet them? What's their stories?
I've only met them once virtually. It was the day they told me the news. But I'm going to see them tomorrow. So
how did they tell you the news that you got it?
Sorry?
How did they tell you the news that you got it?
Oh, it was actually that day it was right after we had our first successful International Moon Day event that I was helping organize with the International Space Agency. And some of the speakers that we had, we invited the SpaceX astronaut Sian Proctor and Christina Korp, who was Buzz Aldrin's manager. And we were sitting together in an in-person meeting after the event. And then so Space for Humanity asked me to hop on a call, in a call. So I left the meeting to take the call with them, but everyone in the meeting could see me through a glass window. So when I got the call, everyone could see my reaction.
Oh, wow.
So as soon as I went back into the meeting, because Sian got the same call last year, so she automatically asked me if I'm going to space, as if she knew. It was really crazy. And I can't believe that my answer was, I'm going to space. It was just mind blowing. And the crazy part is that when she got her news, because they have a Netflix documentary, The Countdown, that they made, and it's beautiful, highly recommend watching it. And I cried, during the her getting her news. Like every time I, see her episode, see that scene where she gets her news and, her emotion, like I cried when she got her news. And then a year later, she was sitting in the room and she teared up when I got my news. And it was just, what? What are the odds of having Sian in Egypt while I got my news? And it's just, to me, I feel like the universe is just I don't know. I don't understand it. It's just crazy.
So does anyone have a video of you finding out? Did anyone record that?
Yeah, they do. Space for Humanity posted it actually. And you can see in the video me taking the phone and going back inside and being and Sian asking, are you going to space? You can hear her. And then I say, I'm going to space. So you see them a little bit there.
What has been the reaction in Egypt about your news?
Like in general with everyone in the
like,
public?
yeah, people reaching out to you, the public, anybody interesting?
It's been like it's been amazing, to be honest, the amount of support I've been getting, because I think it's also a win for Egypt, because now Egypt finally has someone that represents them in space. So I think, like, I hear also a lot of moms sending me, so, oh, my daughter, she's 5, she has always dreamt of going to space, and now she just loves you, now she sees herself in you, and it's just really, it just really touches my heart, and it really, like, I don't know, it's just it's hard to describe even what this does to you, like, because you work so hard, and to have support for doing something that you've been working so hard for, and for people to, to take this as, because I'm doing this not only for myself anymore, I'm doing this for everyone in Egypt. So we're in this together, and I don't feel alone in this. So I feel like we're all going together, to space.
Walk me through the night before your mission.
Yeah. We're gonna see. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of my breathing exercises. So for the past week or so, I've been really calm, really collected, really able to control my emotions, not having, because at the beginning when I first got the news, of course, I was getting like a lot of anxiety. But now it's been a lot better. And I think I have a couple of more days before my launch, and I'm hoping to keep my calm. And part of the training that I'm doing is to know what you want to feel like, and you write it down. So I know what ideally I would like to feel like, the day of my launch, and hopefully the day before my launch, I would have the same calm and the same trust in the process, and the same, yeah, just, I think all I want, like, I just want to feel at peace with whatever happens, because of course it's not without risk. It's not the easiest thing to do, and it's not, you, of course, like, you can always think about these things, but I think how I would like ideally to feel like is just to be at peace with anything that may come, and that's, just to control what I can and not do anything about what I can't control.
That's beautiful. So tell me, are you taking anything with you, like personal, like what are you carrying with you that's a good luck charm, or that you want to have on your person that nobody might know about?
We are allowed to take a payload bag. So we're allowed to take some things with us. So I took a few items from family, from friends, I took my niece's sock. So I have a little sock. And some photos, some jewelry. I have a few items, that are sentimental from family and friends to take with me.
Yeah, that's incredible. And okay, I want to have another chat with you when you finish your mission, because I think it'd be great to have the other side of the story as well when it's done. But like, for people who don't know you're Egyptian, you grew up in Egypt. What are some fun things you like to do when you're not doing incredible things like going up to space? So like, favorite TV show to watch?
Favorite TV? Oh, that's a difficult question, because
Or what did you recently watch?
I do like rewatching shows, because, when you know what to expect, you don't really have to pay attention too much. And because I don't have that much time to watch things, and it just calms me down, to, watch something that I've seen before. So I'm currently rewatching, it's a show called Grace and Frankie.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a good show. What about like podcasts, meditation apps, music? What do you like to listen to on your AirPods or your headphones?
I listen to like a mix of different things. So it's not really mainstream that what I listen to. I listen to some piano music a lot. I like that. Some classical stuff. Some feel like my SoundCloud knows me better than I know myself. So a lot of some electronic stuff. So it's a mix of things that I listen to.
Favorite place to travel to?
Ooh. I have a few favorite ones. I loved Madagascar. I spent a lot of time in Madagascar, and it felt like home when I was there, and it's just a place that I would love to go back to. Um, but yeah, I would love to go to Japan. It's very high on my list to go. But Africa is always has a big place in my heart, because when I went there for some months, like I was traveling there for some months volunteering, it was just a very transformational part of my life. So it's just like I would love to go back and travel around again and around Africa.
Do you think, I spent a lot of time recently learning about manifestation and visualization, and like how that can really help you when you put things out into the universe. I know it's a very loose term that people use, but you are putting yourself virtually actually into the universe. What are some techniques that you think you learned in this process, like the breath work, that you think you'll take with you regardless of your exploration into space, that people can learn from? Like, if you're having a big challenge in your life or you're about to do something big, these are some of the tips and tricks that you use that anyone could start to learn about.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there's a few things that I learned. So actually we can separate them into three things. So one thing is, like you said, visualization and manifestation really helped me, because honestly, I was really doing that a lot. I was sitting, before bed, I would really, like, for some time, I was almost every single night picturing myself in a capsule, really putting myself there, just thinking of the process, really thinking, okay, I am there and this is what I'm doing right now. So it's really picturing yourself there and really seeing yourself there. And that comes with, belief in yourself. And I think our toughest critics and everything, whatever is going to stop you is yourself. So if you, I think if you believe you can do it, you can do it. So I think that it all starts there. It all starts in going for whatever you think is worth doing, and go big. So don't go small. If it doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough. Go for whatever scares you, whatever doesn't make you comfortable, whatever really pushes you, whatever really makes you feel in your heart that, oh no, I want this so bad, and just go for that one. Don't get discouraged by how difficult it might be, because that's the one that's worth pushing for. And the third thing is if you get rejections, or if you're, if you feel anger or hurt from things, because of course, like, we all go through that. I think what makes us human is suffering. Like, anyone you've ever met in your life or you're going to meet is either has experienced suffering, is currently experiencing suffering, or will experience suffering. So I think we need to make that realization. And I think if you have gone through some type of suffering, or you are going through that now, use that to push you forward. So use this energy, whatever it may be, and convert it into the type of energy that pushes you forward. So if you're angry about something, or if you're hurt from something, try to use that, because this is still fire within you. This is still some energy that you have, but it's only like you're the one who's capable of using it, either, to bring yourself down, or to make that as, okay, so this is happening, so let me just use that to push forward, and to use it, and okay, I've gotten this rejection, okay, it hurts, I'm not happy about it, I've gotten so many rejections in my life, and it's not easy, it's not something that we can easily say, okay, no, just shrug it off, it's fine. It's not easy to say that, to do that. But I think what's better to do is not to just forget about it, but use that, channel that, and use it to push you forward. And I think that helped me a lot. And that's how I've dealt with everything in my life. And that's, I think, why, I have the drive that I do, because I think I keep using that to push me forward and to, keep going.
You're an inspiration, and you'll have many days to keep going and keep inspiring all of us. Egypt's first astronaut, Sara Sabry, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm really excited to share your story. How old are you, Sara?
29.
29. Okay, you're not even reached 30 yet. So you still have a long way a ways, but link up all the people that all the little girls that you're impacting.
Yeah. And that really, that really touches me, and that really gives me goosebumps. So yeah, thank you so much.
It's happening. And are you the first Arab woman to go up into space?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, wait. Well, why are we saying first Egyptian? We're like first Egyptian, first Arab woman to ever go up in space.
Yeah, and the first African woman as well.
And the first African. So she's Egypt, first Arab woman, and first woman representing Africa to go up in space. We are so delighted that we get to spend some time with you and can't wait to hear how it goes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I can't wait to share my experience with everyone. Thank you so much, Maha, for having me.
That was our conversation with Sara before she went up into space. Stay tuned now for the next part of our conversation, where she tells me what it was like when she came back to Earth. Sara, the last time we talked, I asked you, how do you think this experience would affect you? And I know it's been how many days now since you went up into space, but can you describe to us what was the experience, and was it as you expected?
It was not what I expected. It was a lot more emotional and powerful, I have to admit. Yeah, it's been 20 days now, and I'm still processing everything. It was really weird for the first, I think, week or 2 weeks. It was very, very strange. I mean, it still is, but I think I'm learning to adapt to this new reality now, and putting it into words has been really, really helpful. And I'm really excited to share more about this experience and about the overview effect and about the process I've been going through to really train to how to integrate this.
Okay, well, let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
How did you start your day? What did you eat for breakfast? Walk us through the whole day.
The day of the launch. So I woke up and got ready, just as if it was a normal day, knowing it wasn't really a normal day, but I was trying to keep calm and to really, because we trained very, very well for this. So you're really, for the few days leading up to the launch day, we were training so much. We had super long days. We were always going to the training center, always being on the capsule, simulating the mission again and again and again. So it felt like almost, okay, so we're gonna do it, but now it's real. So it was the most exciting thing that I've ever experienced. So in the morning, I got ready, had some coffee, had breakfast, which usually I don't really eat breakfast, but I felt like I'll eat breakfast.
Like you have to eat breakfast that day. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yeah. So we had breakfast. Then I talked with like some of the crew members. So we all kind of, looked at each other with excitement and kind of like sitting at this dining table, kind of thinking, okay, so this is really about to happen. And then we were told we had our families and friends that are going to come. It was really dark in the morning. It was really early in the morning, so it was pretty dark still. And we had buses coming in from Van Horn and from can't remember where the other place was, but like from around Texas, to bring in our families and friends, just to kind of say hi to everyone and bye to everyone at the same time. And so I was really excited to see everyone in the mornings. I was looking forward to them coming. And then when they came, it was so nice to see everyone, to hug everyone, and everyone was getting really hyped up and getting so excited about what's about to happen. So it made a big difference seeing family and friends that day. So they did such a good job in allowing us to, have this moment with them and just to kind of chat. Everyone gives you some stuff to take with you to space last second, of course. So I had just a bunch of bracelets. But I was very happy to do that. And so yeah, then time came for us to head to our training center to start getting ready. So we had to say bye to everyone. They, I guess, had their safety briefings and stuff, and then we astronauts went to the training center. We had like our last briefing, our last warning to go to the toilet. We put on our suits. Then we got then it seemed real. And also Kobe. So Kobe is he's one of the founders of Dude Perfect. So he was thinking to do one like trick shot, in our time in 0G. So he had like a box of little toys of things to take with him to space, of like to choose which ones it would be possible. So he had like this really tiny ping pong racket and ball. So we stood like, we have this big meeting table in our astronaut training center. So we and myself and another astronaut, we kept playing ping pong before.
That's so funny.
So there's a lot of photos of us just playing ping pong before launch as if it's like normal, and we're just trying to kind of like pretend like it was a normal thing. And yeah, so that was really fun to kind of just like get us, relaxed a little bit and just kind of playing around. And then we got on in the cars and we started driving to the launch pad. And on our way, so we had like this road where we had family and friends with the bells saying goodbye to everyone. So that was really, really nice. Also seeing everyone. And in the cars, we had music playing just to kind of get us excited. And I'll never forget driving past the rocket and seeing it and thinking in my head, oh my God, this is going to be my ride today. Like, this was such an insane feeling. And it's also so crazy to actually put myself in the moment right now again. And I remember just looking at it from the window and thinking, how is this? Like, I have never felt this much excitement in my life, I think. It was just
a big moment.
Yeah.
And so you guys, I was wondering, like in the car, was it quiet? Were you guys praying? Were you meditating? But you're like, music was blaring. What was the hype song?
We had, because our crew was called Titanium Feathers, so we had a couple of songs that our crew member 7, Sarah, had prepared. So that was really like some songs to get us just hyped up. And then we had also Titanium.
Titanium, love that song.
Yeah, so it is a hype song also. So that played. Yeah. That was really cool. And we were in 2 cars, and I had Kobe in my car. So I was just kind of like holding his shoulders and telling him, we're doing this. And I just like, he's sitting right in the front seat and I'm in the back seat. So I'm just holding his shoulders and like kind of like shaking him because we're doing this. And so yeah, when we got there, we went up the stairs, we did everything that we were prepared to do. And then we sat on the capsule, and then we had to wait for some time. And we kept, like, as a crew, we kept talking to one another, always making it, always having an open communication which helped a lot, because you never really felt alone. We knew that we were all going through the same thing. And leading up to this moment with my Paragon training, because with Space for Humanity, so they collaborate with this company called Paragon that prepares me before and after, this trip to space. And they had me write down what I wanted to feel in that moment, sitting on that capsule chair.
And what did you write?
I wrote that I wanted to feel at peace with whatever outcome comes, because of course it's not without risk. You have to make peace with wherever it might go. And also being trusting of, this rocket. And I did feel that. I felt very trusting of the rocket. I trusted it more than I trust airplanes, to be honest, because you're so prepared and you go through all these emergency scenarios that whatever happens, you know how to act, how to deal with it, and have all the backups and all that. So it's really, you trust it. And also I kind of just sat quietly for a little bit and kind of imagined taking all of Egypt with me, and that was such a relief. To me, it was really calming to me, and I really was calm. I was not nervous or scared or anxious. I was just excited. Like, I was looking out the window, and you're really high. You're sitting on the rocket, so you're looking out the window, and you're pretty high, and you're seeing the sky. And I was also on crew. I was astronaut number 1, so I could see still the launch pad. And I was seeing, the technicians kind of like prepare stuff, and our crew member 7, Sarah, also preparing things and like finalizing things. So it was just, these few moments of, okay, we're about to launch to space right now. And then we did, we had our countdown. We had, those seconds of, the engine kind of, the ignition, it's, the sounds of the feeling, the everything. And then you literally launch up really fast. And it was incredible. It was, this is all the things that are leading up to it were just incredible, to be honest.
Did you feel like you got pulled, or you felt a jolt, or did you feel like in your chest, or like, did your stomach drop at any point? Were you just like, I don't feel that good at any point? Or did you have to rely on the breathing exercises? Like,
So we do experience high Gs. So at some points when, like before MECO, so before main engine cutoff and after separation, you do experience some, like up to 3 Gs on your chest. So 3 times your weight on your chest. So that gets pretty uncomfortable, but you know, like that it's going to pass. And so you kind of know that it's only temporary, and because you also like have simulated it several times, so you know how long it should last, so you kind of like expecting it to, okay, so it's gonna be a few more seconds and then it's gonna be done. So, and then you reach 0 G and you're weightless. Like it's not, you're not in your body anymore almost. And the thing is, like, you get lifted off your your seat a little bit, and so you unharness and you're it's really such a crazy feeling, and it's hard to, it's unlike anything, you know. I would expect that it would be a little bit like underwater where you're buoyant, but in buoyancy you still feel a lot on you, right? So it's kind of still not the same thing. It was very, very different. And yeah, and we had our whole 0 G plan. So we did this formation, which I believe is the first formation to be done in space. So you know how skydivers do formations and stuff. And we did that with the crew, and then each one had their own thing. And then all of us dedicated, you know, the majority of our time just looking out the window, which was
What did you see?
Earth. It's crazy. You see, so there's a part, like a few parts of it. So the thing is that when you're going up, you see the changes in colors. So you go from light blue to dark blue to purple and then black. So it's this drastic change that you don't actually feel when you're penetrating the atmosphere. So it's not something physical that you feel. It's just visually that you're recognizing that, okay, this is a new place that you're in, which is crazy.
Wow.
Because I imagined it to, you know, feel like you're like hitting something, you know, but it wasn't like that at all, which was a big part of my overview effect, like slash processing phase, because it made me realize of this lack of separation between Earth and space. And that was the biggest thing for me from all of this, to be honest. And you see Earth and it's so bright, like Earth is very bright.
It is?
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, like I saw that Earth was so bright, and also I had sometime, like at some point I had the reflection of the sun on my side, so I was just so bright, and it's just emptiness around it, and it was just like it's forever going to be imprinted in my head, like for so long, and like you keep seeing it again and again. It's just so big and it's mind-blowing. And I think, like before, I think we haven't biologically evolved to experience something like this. So it's really hard for your brain to really understand, to grasp the extent of like this. Like for me, the biggest thing was the lack of separation. Like this was
The lack of what?
separation
Separation.
between Earth and space. And it made me realize, you know, because until now I'm still trying to process it, and I think I'm getting a little bit, you know, better at processing it and putting it to words. But I think for me, the main thing that came out of, you know, not the main thing, but like one big thing that came out of this is that I understand why we humans are meant to do this. Like, I think ever since I came back, I've had this feeling where I feel so much more connected to this vastness and this, you know, space. You know, it's not different from Earth. Earth is just a part of it. It's just a continuation of it, and it just belongs to it. So that for me was just kind of like this realization, and I think it's easy to put it in. I mean, when you put it into words, it's simple, because you're just making one sentence, but then it actually, in my head, it just feels very different. And everything that I do, you know, when I look at something, or when I look at grass, or when I look at, you know, some trees, or every time I look at something, I'm kind of seeing it a little bit differently now. Like I get this weird feeling that it's the same thing that I've seen before, but it feels different. And I think the more I'm, you know, sitting down with myself and kind of trying to make sense of this, and to really understand this new reality of, you know, this realization of this lack of separation, you know, the more I do this, the more it did open up my perception, I have to admit. And when we landed, when we landed the first, like I couldn't stop crying. Like it was crazy. I got very, very, very emotional. And the first thing that I said was that it's right there. Like space is right there. It's not something, because we always imagine, okay, the sky, you look at it from Earth and it's just so big and you can't really see space, and and space is so, the universe is so big, so you always think that it's so far away and that Earth, is a separate entity from it, but it's really not. Like it's
Really not.
really, really not. So yeah,
So,
my-
so what, sorry, I just want to listen to you all day, but I want to ask you some questions.
no,
So a couple of things. One of them is like, would you do this again?
100%. I cannot wait to do this again.
And would you say, because you talked a lot about the separation, so what changed you the most from this experience?
It's this understanding or this realization that Earth is not separate from space. I think that to me was a big, big thing. And also, before going into this, you read a lot about the overview effect. You understand other astronauts' experience of this, but it's not all the same. Not two astronauts experience the same thing. So I think at the beginning I thought, oh, maybe like one of the things that I should be feeling would be the fragility of Earth, or the lack of borders, and that's what I thought it would be like, right? And I think that hasn't changed. I still truly believe that with all my heart, but I'm trying to kind of understand what has changed, because from this, my personal experience, what has changed is this new thing that I realized, which is, yes, there are no borders. Yes, this is something that I have dedicated my life for, just trying to erase these borders, and I will still continue doing that for the rest of my life. But I think there's this new thing that just kind of blew me away, and it's crazy.
It's so fascinating to listen to like you before, and then it was live streamed, so everyone got to watch it. I watched it. We all watched it online. I don't know if you know how many people were watching it from around the world, but I'm sure a lot of people from Egypt were watching it because I saw a lot of people post. What do you think that effect had on little girls or little kids in the Arab world? Like this, them seeing that, like now that you've done it, what kind of a perception do you think you've changed, or feedback that you've gotten?
I think, or at least I hope now, people in Egypt and in the Arab world and in Africa can think that things are possible now, because this is the first time that something like this happens to, someone that is like them, that grew up in the same places as them. So it's a new thing that is, I really hope that it brings this new sense of possibility, this new sense of, okay, so she did it, so can I. Now I can do things. I can, work hard towards something and actually achieve it, and not listen to whatever anyone tells me in my country, that of the lack of opportunity, of not being, of not being able to do it just because of this and that, of just not listening to all this and going for it and really believing in yourself and kind of pushing through.
Yeah, I think one thing we struggle with a lot is self-doubt. So we always like, I mentor and talk to young people all the time, and they're like, they feel like, oh, that's something that other people do, not that we do.
Yeah.
So now you having kind of overcome that, and just your whole message of hope is a really important one that people need to see. Like everything is within reach if we just really put ourselves in the position to get to those opportunities. And I think that's really, really important. What did you prepare for that you didn't use on the mission? And what did you not prepare for that you wish you would have known about before?
That's a good question. So I'll start with, what did I prepare for and didn't use?
Yeah.
So I was getting prepared mentally with Paragon, and then physically with Blue Origin. And I think I prepared so much, and I think it was necessary to prepare for all these different scenarios. So I think it's a good thing that we didn't use them, but it was just necessary, and I think it was really important to do that. And as to what I wish I had prepared for was, I wish I slowed down a little bit more. Like I felt like when the time came when we were in 0G, I was really rushing to get out of my seat as quick as possible, and I had trouble kind of unharnessing just because I was kind of rushing it. And I wish at that moment that I was just slowing down a little bit more and not being, not kind of like looking at the clock and just being like, oh, I have to be fast. So that was one thing that I wish I kind of, knew that I would. I wish I had prepared myself that I would be a little bit, not nervous, but a little bit like rushed with myself, that I should have calmed myself down a little bit and been like, okay, we have some time. Like I just need to slow down a little bit and not kind of like not rush it. So that would be the one thing that I wish I kind of, did.
I love that. I think one of the things that perception of time is something like we just don't understand. Like, how long did it take you to like go up and down? And like, was it fast? Did it seem like a minute? Was it slow? Like, how do you think your perception of time was impacted during that experience?
In the moment, I think it went by really fast, and I keep thinking about it. But then when I try to visualize it and try to remember it, I can remember every single moment of it. I can really put myself there and kind of remember all the little things and put myself back in there, which is really nice to do. And in your head, you can slow things down. So in my head, you can make it slower than it actually was, because then it was pretty fast. But again, still you had time to look out the window. You had a lot of time to just sit down, not sit down, but like float around and just look out the window. You had this time. And it's both fast and slow at the same time, because if you think back at it, you can slow it down in your head, but at the moment it was pretty fast. And yeah.
That's incredible. I'm just so inspired by listening to like what that process should be like. But you went up there on behalf of your nonprofit company, Deep Space Initiative, and now what's next for you? Like, I know you were there with Space for Humanity, but I'm just talking about your business and how you are going to take this experience. What's next?
So Deep Space Initiative, we are working on our first Milky Way program, and our teams are going to present at IAC in Paris in 2 weeks. So that's really, really exciting. And we're opening up our new applications also in September for our longer Andromeda program, which is a research program as well. And you have the opportunity to either work as a team or to do your thesis, work as an individual. So we have a lot more opportunities for our next round. And then we also are working on our education department, where we're hoping we're going to be providing a lot of very accessible lectures, content that would be just open for everyone to, learn more. So that's kind of the plan with Deep Space Initiative. As for me personally, I'm continuing my astronaut training. I have my International Astronautical Institute training next week, actually. So I'm going to be training with this program where they train you to do research in space, basically. And I would become the first Egyptian female citizen, scientist astronaut candidate. So then I would be qualified to actually do research in space. So I'm really excited about that. And with my PhD, I'll be working on spacesuits. So I was just in North Dakota last week. So I'm really excited to work on it and to really, use my experience of this first short space flight to doing my best both in my research and providing opportunity in my company, and also preparing myself for future missions to orbit Moon and eventually Mars.
Tell me, you want to go to Mars? So tell me two things. One is you're designing spacesuits.
Yeah, so my PhD is going to be about engineering spacesuits, yes.
And what does that entail?
So I have a background in mechanical and biomedical engineering, so I want to use these skills into making the next generation of planetary spacesuits more mobile, more flexible, and protect, and maybe also use a hybrid design between pressure and mechanical. So I'm not set on exactly what my research is going to be about, but I'm really, really excited.
And Artemis, is that what it's called, is going up into space soon. So this is going to be like the first time since they were putting man on the moon to put up such a huge, massive mission. Do you know anything about it?
Yes, I'm really excited. I'll be watching the launch actually in a couple of days. I'm going to Florida.
Huge. Oh, you're going to Florida to attend it.
Yeah.
Have you been attending a live mission like that before?
It's my first it will be my first time watching a rocket launch. I've been on one, but I've never seen one, which is really weird.
The thing I love the most about this story, because I've been like learning about it, is that the person who's the call person, or the person who's in charge of the mission and announcing it and getting the final okay to go up into space, is a woman. And it's the first time they've had a woman be in charge of the actual, give the final go ahead to actually do the whole countdown or release. So that'd be exciting to watch. Sara, I'm so grateful for your time. I loved hearing your story. I really wanted just to close with one final question is, if you were to talk to your 10-year-old self, what would you be telling her right now about where you are today? And what advice would you give the next generation?
So I would say to trust myself. As long as I do that, as long as I work hard, and as long as, you know, you don't doubt yourself, good things will happen. And if I were to tell anyone, give anyone advice, I would say do what you love. I think that's a really, really important thing, because I think, we always try to look at the outcome a lot of the times, and I think also working in the space field, I think a lot of us want to go to space, and it's just an incredible thing, and it's an incredible dream to dream, and it's just it's such an incredible goal to have. But I think also it's important to enjoy the journey leading up to it, and to just do what you love, and it will happen. Opportunities are increasing, things are opening up a little bit more. So I think just make sure to love what you do and to enjoy it along the way.
That is such a terrific message. Don't just enjoy the outcome. Think about the process, the journey, and really enjoy each step of it, because that's the real fruit of the labor of getting to achieve your goals. Sara Sabry, thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you so much.
You take care.